lately we've been talking a lot about this, and it feels like prototyping has gone into hyperspeed and it's been more and more democratized. And Figma just dropped Make, which is a tool that turns ideas into interactive prototypes in literally just seconds. But it's not just them. We've got Replit, we've got Bolt.new, we've got Lovable, and we've been talking about this for a few weeks. And they're really all these tools are kind of redefining what early means. So we're going to talk about that today. Are these tools actually changing how we work or just adding noise to an already crowded stack? So I want to welcome our first cup panelist. First of all, we've got, he has been in sports entertainment so long the ESPN checks his stats. Let's welcome Brian Huss, Vice President of Product Management at PrizePicks. Welcome back, Brian.
Thank you, Jason. Good to be here.
You bet. And don't let her calm energy fool you. She can outpace chaos, outmaneuver ambiguity, and outdesign just about anyone. Say hello to Valerie King, Director of User Experience and Product Design. Welcome, Valerie. This is your first time.
Thank you, Jason.
You bet.
Hi, everyone. Glad to be here.
When she's not transforming platforms, she's beta testing snacks. That's called multitasking. Edie just calls it Tuesday. Say hey to Edie Kirkman from GoTo Foods. Welcome back, Edie. And last but not least, he wrote the book on product management. Then he taught the class. Then he built the framework, maybe not in that order, but please welcome the guitar shredding product legend himself, Steve Johnson of Product Growth Leaders.
Good morning.
And I am Jason Brett. I can make a business case in under a minute, but I've spent 20 years trying to explain my job at Thanksgiving. All right, so let's get started with the panel today. Valerie, you've led teams where design is sacred. But one of the things that we were talking about is this notion of product managers bringing prototypes to the table. Does instant prototyping really feel like progress or really just sacrilege?
I would say more product or progress than sacrilege. I think rapid prototyping now is really at a point to offer some real opportunities for product teams to work together. I think that one of the things that kind of, when you think of having this ability now to do something so quickly and efficiency, it's more about like improving process, but it also is a way to improve the way teams work together. So I think that's one of the bigger opportunities of rapid prototyping. I'm always an advocate for user experience and product to be very tightly coupled, at the top. So product managers aren't independently, say, creating their own prototypes. You're getting into a place now where UX is way more strategic than it used to be. And you'll have an opportunity with, perhaps a strategic UX leader and a product leader to kind of work together on those prototypes initially. And the ease of use, the fact that you can do these things so quickly, I think is an asset to the business overall.
Yeah, and we can stop asking our design partners to make the button blue and ask the AI to do it.
I think what we can spend our time on, I like the idea of using rapid prototyping to, again, sort of get things out quickly, but the value is that product and UX can now work together on the real value propositions, the product value proposition, the experiential value proposition, and just using the prototyping tools as a tool to get there faster. Once you kind of have these prototypes, we were talking earlier, Jason, about the anchoring bias and things like that, where what product teams and UX teams can do together now is really figure out, like, what are these values and what are we trying to accomplish? The prototype can just do that for you, but what we need to be doing really is creating, say, using AI to create additional prototypes. So you're not just kind of going in and saying, do a prototype of what this UI might look like, but instead the teams together are deciding, what would a prototype that emphasized trust look like? What would a prototype look like that emphasized, subscription value look like? And working together on that level creates tremendous opportunity.
I love how you put that. That really kind of helps bring the idea forward a little bit. The idea of multiple prototypes faster with different focus, different potential objectives for the prototype. That's a really powerful idea. So what I'm hearing overall is it's not about enabling more people to bring prototypes to the table. It's about enabling collaboration to work faster and more efficiently across the team.
That's correct. Because, you'll also have with this technology, basically Lottie-Dottie and everybody coming out to create their own prototypes.
Yep.
And, that's a concern where,
Right.
Even product teams will be confronted with marketing that says, I don't really like your design. I made one myself, because I can. And then what happens? And that's where it becomes more important for product and UX to be really answering the questions about why, instead of kind of shopping a design. We're sort of past the point where, a prototype is just a design. A prototype should be a reflection of the work that product and UX do together to define those value propositions. And, own that and, go about that very tightly so you can explain that to the business. So when other people do come up with prototypes, it's not, I like mine better. You have your whole group and your whole unit saying, hey, we work together on coming up with these value statements and, apply those to the prototype. We did 3 different kinds based on this, this, and this. And, this is where we are. This is why we have the prototypes that we do. It'll also help people kind of get stuck on one image, just sort of shopping an image around that people come up and say, I just don't like it, because it seems like opinion is at a higher value than ever these days.
It's a good point too. Edie, what do you think? You've seen how fast ideas move at scale. So are these tools really fueling innovation from your purview? And you've worked across, you've led engineering teams, product teams, digital transformation teams. You've worked across the board. So is this really fueling innovation, or is it just more stuff to clean up later?
Depending on where you are in your growth phase of your organization. I think if you are a small business or a startup, or you have an idea, I think that these type of tools, like especially Bolt and Lovable, there's some promise of actually making a working app, like a MVP, where you can deploy. And Lovable kind of have they're starting their app store concept, like here are all these apps built on Lovable that you can use, and we have businesses running on Lovable. But they're going to be challenged once they kind of get to the scaling period, because at the end of the day, you have an MVP prototype that you actually put real customers on. So if it's a kind of an app with intense logic processing, then you have a lot of mess that you have to clean up, and you have to do a rewrite at some point. But hopefully you've gotten enough money and interest where you can raise with an actual product rather than with concept. So from startup perspective, I think it's really good. From enterprise, I agree, Valerie, that it brings in a lot of noise for the people with the jobs that's supposed to design and discover and create the products, because all of a sudden people are like, well, I could build it really quickly, that why is it going to take, a quarter to do this and not 2 days? So I think there's a lot of education that needs to happen, and I would not necessarily introduce this in the wild in the organization. I think I'm old school. I still like to sit down, wireframe, and do all of that with the business, because when they see a high fidelity Figma, even they get stuck as far as oh, I want that. They get married to it. So I can imagine a prototype like this would have more visceral feelings from the stakeholder that, oh, okay, this must be it. This has to be it. And a lot of times this is not it. This is just an iteration of it.
Yeah. So So thank you. And I really want to start just putting I think I need a hotkey button for a graphic that says "It depends" trademark Edie Kirkman, but but it is true that the stage of the company, the level of maturity has a great impact because resources have a great impact when you have that scale. You have access to specialized resources that you don't have when you're in scrappy startup mode. And so being aware of that and understanding how to transition the use of these tools. Of course, these tools are evolving so quickly. It's hard to imagine a startup needing to actually transition how they use these tools in 3 years because the tool set's going to be completely different by then anyway.
Yeah, what I really do like about the idea of Figma, the promise of Figma, if they get there, is that, they right now kind of have a prototype tool. And on their website, they said something like, oh, okay, we're going to work on backend integrations next, right? API integrations. What would be amazing for Figma to do is really separate the presentation layer from the logic layer, period. And then that would save and accelerate so much time across the organization because we spend just like astronomical amount of time to make sure that the developers, the engineers are actually going through and pixel wise and, spacing and font. And, we go through design token management. We match it up with storybooks. I mean, and we're looking at all these type of interim tools right now to make that flow better. So that way the thing can look good at the end of the day. Right? Like it would be amazing if Figma can take the front end code and write really clean front end code without logic embedded in it. And then that way it keeps everything abstracted and then we can connect to APIs much easier. So I would love to see them go that direction to kind of stay in the lane of what we needed them to do, but also enable technology and engineering.
Great. Thank you so much, Edie. Appreciate that perspective. Steve, you've helped product managers get strategic for decades. So when a tool promises to skip straight to prototype, is that clarity or is it just chaos with a pretty AI? Mr. I
think it's chaos. I'm with everybody else in terms of, when you're able to produce something quickly that is also beautiful, it maybe saves a lot of time, but salespeople see beauty as done. And you're like, hey, this is just a user experience, there's no code under here, and, bang, hey, I've got a contract for it with my biggest customer. They want to scale it to 30,000 users. So I'll give you another day or two, and then you can deliver, right?
Yeah, I built this in 5 minutes. Why can't you just produce it? Why can't you just deploy it?
Exactly. And so I do see salespeople coming in and saying, hey, I've got this great idea. It's ready to go. And you're like, dude, there's no architecture here. And they don't even understand that. And I don't mean just sales. It's like nothing seems difficult to people who don't know what they're talking about. So this makes it so much easier to build something that looks real, but has nothing underneath it. And that's my big concern is, sure, anybody can buy a scalpel, but I'd rather you not operate on people with it. Unless you've got some book learning, as we say down south.
Absolutely. Yep. Thank you. Yes. I think Jerry gave me credit, but I think you get credit. And I think I need to see a blog post with the new spelling of chaos, as Jerry said in the chat. Yeah. I'll be looking forward to that from you, Steve. You now have homework. All right. So let's jump over to you, Brian. So you were at Config last week, and you mentioned that you're really excited about this, and I want to hear about that. I also want to look into PrizePicks a little bit because at PrizePicks speed matters, and so does signal. So, and we've talked a little bit about how you're thinking about adopting these tools, but do you feel like these are the secret to faster product plays, or how do you expect them to impact your teams?
I don't know if they're necessarily a secret to faster product plays. I think they're maybe the secret to better product plays because we get the opportunity to validate many more ideas much more rapidly. and to for our user research practice, what I think what this is going to change for us is rather than like spending a lot of time on creating this creating a prototype where the designer has to fill in Steph Curry averages this many points and blah blah blah. We have to do that for big long list of players to actually create a realistic scenario. We can not only could we do that, fill in just a generic group of players pretty fast, but we if the data integrations actually work, if Make really delivers what it says it's going to, we could feasibly hook this up to somebody's real team, or someone's real lineup they have with us. And so that the ability to not just say like not just validate, okay, this user flow seems to work, I can get through this. It's like we get that emotional connection of like, this is my team and I see it, and yes, I'm excited about that. I can learn more about how a user is actually going to respond to an idea. And I loved what Valerie brought up around bringing different types of prototypes with different types of emphases, or it helps us go through that cycle super quickly. I also think of well, there's a few more. One is I think of the other side of what Steven said, when I'm doing something for an internal stakeholder. It's almost better to have it be like very lo-fi, like, but it actually helps me it does help me visualize the interaction, like just it helps them see what I'm talking about, but not just say, oh, cool, so that's launching tomorrow, right? I mean, that's not the scenario any of us want to find ourselves in. But what was really interesting for me about what they were talking about at Config was to say, okay, we have all these new tools. We want to have the Figma be kind of end to end in your process, in your development stack. It was notable that they branded the conference not for people who design products, but for people who build products. They really want to be all the way across. But they made a very big deal to say this puts more, not less importance on the craft of design, on the care you put into your experiences. So hopefully what this can do is, again, validate those ideas a lot more quickly, save our designers from having to do the rote tasks that don't even get us all the way to where we want to be anyway, and let them concentrate on solving the hard problems. So I'm hopeful all of this is going to raise the level of our experiences and put even more importance on making something that is truly great and truly solves user needs.
Awesome. So what I'm hearing across the panel here is there are a lot of really powerful opportunities. There are some risks for some major anti-patterns that can cause a lot of chaos and trouble. But like everything, it does depend on where you are and how you use it. But I'm hearing a general excitement here for the possibilities, with some real caution for the risks. One of the things that, well, let's pivot out to to our Zoom audience here as well. And if you're watching on YouTube or LinkedIn, we'd love to have you join us on Zoom as well. You can go to productcoffee.com, join our mailing list, and you will find out every week how you can join us here in the Zoom chat as well and be a part of this. But for right now, what we're going to do is, if you're in our Zoom call and this is your first time, please turn on your camera. We would love an opportunity to get you to introduce yourself to our audience, get to know you a little bit. This is not a webinar like you might be used to experiencing. This is a community meetup. We do it here every Wednesday and would love to have you join us. Turn on your camera, introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about what has your attention. Or you might want to answer this question. How are you feeling about this wave of instant prototyping tools like Figma Make and Replit and Lovable? Are they changing the game for you? Are they changing the game for product managers? Or are they just creating ways to fake alignment? What are your thoughts? Drop it in the chat if you don't want to come on camera. Let us get to know you a little bit. I want to turn over and start off with Allison Herbert, our product copy librarian. Allison, introduce yourself to the new folks who don't know you.
Hey everyone, good morning. Allison, product coffee librarian, as Jason just mentioned. So I also run our product coffee book club. We just wrapped reading Aligned by Bruce McCarthy, and we've read several books over the last couple of years focused in and around the product practice. So really excited to hear this conversation. I joined a little late, so I don't know if you guys got here, but Edie, I heard you, and I think Veronica also tapped into this as well, like when it makes sense and or where it makes sense. I have taken 2 Lovable prototypes to a business refinement conversation. They are generic vanilla Apple user interface, like nothing elegant, but right, I've got 2 stakeholders that time is precious. And we spend more time saying what should it look like than actually saying what's there, what shouldn't be there. And I think that's really helped me. I had to do it with a trust fall with my tech lead to say, hey, I'm not designing for you. I am not going to use this code, but you can use this picture and then build it into our application. We have a custom application that will not look like that, but right, it will have a button that says that thing and we'll have a slider that does that thing. And, so it allows us to have more meaningful conversations during business refinement. So I'm excited by that. But I was in a conversation yesterday that actually set off all my spidey senses and wanted me to burn all of that down. So while I was excited doing the brave, scary thing, I was then, oh no, stop. Um, we know that AI is still getting its feet off the ground or maybe starting to crawl, walk, run. Some of the security practices of this. So I put very generic examples. Build me a modal that does a thing. Build me a slider that does a thing. There's no risk there. That's out in the internet ad nauseum. But if I were to put anything sensitive about new product development, new product release, anything of that nature, that could potentially get out to the world through our AI integrations and or with thinking through how they're sharing data through code, and that really scares me. So I think there's another piece of this that may be right. Our design team uses Figma. They attended Config last week as well, and was really excited to see that. I want them to have that control because I know they have the sheer volume of what it takes to build content. But at what cost? If we put our very specific brand new product in there and then somebody else comes to market because they've found a way to get to our information, I think that's a risk that we don't yet see the connection to just because we're making, I don't be simplistic, dear marketers, don't hate me, pretty pictures on a screen for people to look at. So, yeah. Thanks,
Awesome.
everyone.
That's a great segue into today's session. Today, we are doing something, it's really fun, and it's an evolving topic. This topic has evolved from kind of the original idea to something, taking vibe coding and AI-powered prototyping from a different perspective. And we're going to talk about how these tools can make you, as a product person, whether you're a founder or a product manager, just starting your career or very senior in your career, how can prototyping make you a sharper product thinker, but without boxing in your team? We talked a little bit in the opening, in the first cup session, about the concept of anchoring bias and bringing ideas to the table that people fixate on a prototype, and it can become counterproductive to exploring actually solving the problem and innovating. So how do we balance those things, and what are ways we can use these tools that kind of sidestep that potential issue? So let's get into it today. I want to start off with a couple questions, and just to kind of get an idea from everybody in the audience there. Tell me a little bit about first of all, I want to introduce my colleague here who's helping us out today. He is part coach, part motorcycle mechanic, and although neither of his bikes currently run. Instead, he's wrenching on the vibe coding apps. Let's ride with Jerry Odenwelder. He's a product coach at C Prime and one of our product coffee leaders here. Jerry, welcome. Glad to have you here.
Hey, Jason. Good to be here. Good to be here.
You bet.
My bikes don't run because I'm vibe coding, so I love the way you work that in there. I
There you
appreciate
go. You betcha. All right. So these tools, I don't know, just by show of hands, I'm curious how many people you can drop a comment in the chat, raise your virtual hand at the bottom of Zoom. How many of you have built something with Bolt.new or Replit or one of these AI-powered prototyping or development tools? Just throw your hands up if you've done something, or if you haven't, drop that in the chat and tell us what you've done as well. And I'd love to get a couple of folks to tell us a little bit about what they've done and what they've experienced so far, if you don't mind. Let's bring some folks up to the front here, and let me start. Jerry, I'm just while we're warming everybody up. I know you've built a few things. Tell me a little bit about what you've done so far.
Well, Jason, I learned about this at Product Coffee. So I guess, I don't know, it's been at least 2 or 3 months now. Somebody just in passing mentioned Bolt, I believe, or Lovable. And for years, I had been struggling with this data management, this internal data management problem that we have. And it's not a big problem, it's a little problem, but it was a nit to me because as a former developer, I knew there were better ways to do what we were doing. And I had always had these dreams of, this is how I would build it, and this is what the database would look like, and this is what the UI would look like. But all that takes time. The design takes time, the coding takes time, the testing takes time, and I just didn't have the time because I was trying to get those motorcycles running. But when I saw or heard about Bolt, I went and read about it, and I was like, this could solve my problem. Like I may not be able to build the production app, but I could build something to show to my boss and his boss and say, the way we're doing it is not that great, and look at how much better it could be. So that was like dipping my toe in the water, was with that.